Kia ora, welcome. We're into our final session before afternoon tea, so no pressure on Brett here. But I'm sure it'll be a talk that will resonate with a lot of us. So a little bit about Brett. Brett's from Griffith University in Queensland, Australia. He is the Planning and Performance Manager, where his background is that he's a planning professional with 6 years' experience in the higher ed sector, and he works with executives to coordinate and draft strategic operational plans, administer the collection of metrics, which is always difficult, run the surveys, and assist with reporting for the divisions. Today, Brett's going to talk to us about the pillars of a contented workforce, which is a goal that we always want. Thank you, Brett.
All right, hello everybody. So thank you for the introduction, Michael. A little bit about Griffith. Griffith is based in sunny Queensland in the Brisbane, Logan, Gold Coast corridor. We've got about 50,000 students, about 5,000 staff, and we are a top 3% rated university in the global rankings. And very happy that one of our scientists is the current Australian of the Year. So today I'm going to be talking about the 3 pillars of a contented workforce in an ever-changing environment: employee engagement, organisational agility, and a positive culture. To give some context, Information Services, the division in which I work, is Griffith's IT and library. We're about 500 staff, and we had a hypothesis that our staff were feeling flat, that we weren't coping with change, and that our processes were a little bit overly bureaucratic. So to measure that, we rolled out 3 surveys over a 6-month period, and I'm going to run you through those shortly. But I will point out that Griffith has done staff satisfaction surveys for a period, and we were sort of trending on that median satisfaction level, which is great, but we knew they were satisfied, for the most part. So we decided we wanted to ask some different questions. So, do they care about the organisation's values? Did they have the capacity to change in their role? Or did they have the capacity to affect change in their roles? Was the culture right for the organisation? So these are the sort of things that we wanted to ask. Why and how? Okay, so with Information Services, we have some context of a lot of change. So in about 2012, a process started that culminated in 2014 with a complete restructure. And it's kind of like at the end, everyone's going, oh, thank God, that is over. And Sue Roberts kind of referenced that this morning, like, is it ever going to stop? And no, it's not going to stop. Griffith at the moment has some ITOs out in the marketplace, and David referenced them before in his killer session a couple of minutes ago. No pressure, thanks for the benchmark. But so we've got these things out in the marketplace which could significantly change the way that we do things. So that's going to potentially significantly change the method and the how and the why, and we don't know what's going to happen with those yet. We've also got this wonderful IT review that's going on where we've had external consultants come in and say, oh, let's have a look at what you're doing. And that was supposed to sort of start early last year, and that was supposed to wrap up quite quickly. And, we're still waiting for that final report, so I wonder what that's going to say. So really, we don't know. So there's potential restructures, there's change in how we do things. Watch this space. Change isn't stopping, it's accelerating. So, and higher ed, and the session earlier just that I attended, the technology is a real catalyst for change. It's happening in library, it's happening in IT, it's happening in higher ed, and it's continuing to. So the first of the 3 surveys we did was this employee engagement survey. It was the one that kicked off, response rate of 68%, and they're the themes that we asked, and we've got the questions there. How did we go? We did okay, 64%. Now the metric or the measure was anything over 70 was an engaged workforce or a positive result. So 64, let's call that positively, solidly neutral. And I created a heat map up the top there, which you may have seen earlier, but I'll explain a bit later. I'll explain as we go through. But we've coded things with a heat map. And if you're green, then you're over 70. If you're neutral, you're going to be white. If you're neutral, but let's put you as a pink, and if you're red, well, that's a negative score. The second one, which David spoke about so eloquently, is the agility survey. Here are the questions. We did that one in October, and It was across the themes, which are there. David's talked really well about how it was on the work of Roy Vendler. And we took those themes from the ACE Agility Index and 4 measures. So non-agile is you've got basically no pockets of organisational agility. Agility basics, you've got it concentrated in certain teams, certain managers doing those really great things, but not across the board. Agility transition is that you're starting to see it happening in most places, and then we're going to move through to that nirvana of organisational agility. It was done on a 5-point Likert scale with, I don't need to get into the technicals of the survey, but I could because I'm a bit of a survey nerd. So we scored 3.25 on the scale. So again, I'm going to be positive. That's getting close to organisational agility, but it's a solid agility basic. So we are seeing some really concentrated pockets of good things happening. Look at those ACE Agility Index themes, and yeah, you know, agility basics across the way. And the final survey we did was a workplace culture survey, and that was just earlier this year, response rate of 55%. And just in terms of response rate, as a former survey manager at the Planning Services Office in the uni, you know, it's really important that we get good responses. And I was really happy to see that the in staff continued to give us good response rates, so they were interested in telling us how they feel. Usually I would be a little bit worried about doing 3 surveys over a 6-month period because of survey fatigue, but because we've been going through such change, I think people probably appreciated the fact to have a chance to really give that, that feedback. So it was 4 cultures, essentially, and we asked what cultures do you see as being present and what cultures would you like to see? So they're not mutually exclusive, and we've kind of said, like for mentoring and family, or risk-taking and innovation, or those KPIs and let's go get them, or bureaucracy for a university. I wonder how that one's going to go. So what it came back with, looking at the current state being blue and the preferred state being orange, quite close on the bureaucracy actually, which was surprising to me. So the variance for that down the bottom chart there is just 2%. So people actually wanted slightly more bureaucracy. Slightly more commercial aspects. They might be, I took some of the commercial ones as, let's use data to make decisions like performance metrics, which is a crazy idea. But sorry, got a bit excited. But yeah, 30 and 31% variance in percentage points there on cohesiveness and innovation. So you'll see we're currently in that stability and control sector, whereas people are saying to us, well, we would really like the flexibility and the freedom to act. But a whole other question is, that's fine, this is what the staff are seeing and this is what the staff want. What does the organisation or what does the business want to give back to the staff? So that's a question, but this is a starting point. Okay, this is where it gets exciting. This is what David referred to as the special sauce, which is quite amusing. Who thinks one of those might be up for a bit of a restructure? So one of those is with the ITO, the way we're significantly going to be changing or potentially changing the way we do business. Yep, we see it? It's the pink one. So again, these are the portfolios or the directorships going across, and we've got that standard way. So as we go through, they're the same directorates as we go across the page. Looking again at P5, they're also not feeling particularly agile, but there's some others as well who aren't. But also, what else can you tell me about that? Yeah. So the top tranche of questions is about the division, about INS as a whole. The middle one's about my manager, and the bottom ones are my staff. John O'Brien talked about silos. This is really really demonstrates it, because my manager, God, he is awesome. There he is. My peers, pretty good, we're pretty good. But the rest of them, gosh, if only they would just work with us. All right, and the third survey was the culture survey, and that actually is pretty much across the board. Massive variance at the top 2, so cohesiveness and innovation, and then commercial and bureaucracy down the bottom. All right. This is where it gets really fun. So now we can go down. Each of these is those same directorates, but now we're looking at teams. So each of the columns is a team. So P5, our friends in P5 who are, have that level of uncertainty in front of them. No surprise there. Here we go again. Quite red. And in culture, red again. But also note in that final column of P5, NA, 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 because they just decided we're checking out, we're not answering your survey. So P7, we've got one really green team, one slightly red team. So the slightly red team is going to probably have flow-on effects if things happen with that ITO. P8, one next to it. What's going on there? Yeah, a little bit of red. Quite a bit of red. Interesting. I don't know why. But the thing with these is these isn't the answer. This is the start. This is the conversation starter. So we take this, we go and meet with the director, and the director goes and meets with his team leaders, and the team leaders talk with their staff. What's going on? Why do you feel like this? What's not happening that you need to happen, or what's happening that you don't want to happen? So I think that's important to remember, that it's like the surveys are great, and they really have been fantastic in that the directors get it, INS executive get it. You can put this in front of them and you can say, look at this, what's happening here? It's helped us drive a workforce training plan. It's helped us write a workforce profile. It's helping us think about how the structures are going to work. So it's been a really powerful tool. So we took from the 3 surveys some wins that we could draw in. So I'll let you have a look at those. But for me, the most important one was that people are still reporting a strong commitment to the organisation and their commitment to the goals. So we've got that intent of let's really do some good things. What could we do better? Change management, for sure, definitely. Communication was spoken about today. Do we have a communication problem? Do we have how we communicate? Are we not communicating enough? We're communicating the wrong things. Interesting as well, a perception that the senior leaders don't work closely together or effectively. So in my role, I've got quite a unique perspective because I'm not in the executive, but I do work quite closely, and I can tell you they do work really effectively together, but nobody sees it. So that's interesting in itself. All right, so what have we done? We've appointed an organisational change manager, which has been amazing. We've tried to do some new things like Inspire, which is a monthly get-together where everybody from our staff get into one room and we have a guest speaker and they come and talk to us about something really interesting. Now that's great, but it's also putting people, I'm sitting next to someone I don't usually sit next to. We're having these informal conversations. Hey, did you hear about that thing? What was that going on about? Oh, right, yeah, cool. We have a social club coming back, which is great. Again, informal communication channels. Actually, we just did a pulse survey as well. So from the initial engagement survey, we've done 2 follow-ups. We're just 5 little quick questions where bang, bang, bang. And one of them was what kind of communication where do you get most of your information from? Is it your team meetings and, chats with your manager? Or is it from the coffee room and down the corridor? So, that's really helpful in helping us tailor how we communicate to our staff, because the formal communications have been seen as a bit slow, but really trustworthy, and we can we believe what's in them. But the informal communications, we're finding out stuff really quickly, but we don't necessarily know if it's right. Some other great things is that now our CTO is speaking directly to all of the managers. So he'll do a roadshow and speak to us. We can ask him whatever, and he'll tell us whatever, and it's not going to necessarily leave that room, but we know what's going on. And also, if there's an information services wide email goes out, the managers get it the day before, so that we are prepared and we understand it. And if we don't understand it, we can go and ask and find out, so that when our staff don't understand it and they come to us, we've got an answer. We've also done things like the Global Challenge, the 10,000 steps, so sponsored some teams, and we did a wellbeing initiative where we put some plants throughout all the offices just as a, that's a nice thing to do, that looked good. Okay, so I'm going to talk about easy wins. Just going to leave that there just so you can take them all down. There are no easy wins, and I'm going to talk about the plants. Because plants are great, and they really do look good. And they help with diffusing noise, and they can improve air quality, and sick building syndrome, they help with that, and relieve stress and anxiety, and no, people do not like the plants. These plants, apparently, are fertilised with the blood of the people that we're going to let go. Which is, it's kind of funny, but it's actually not funny as well, because I guess my two takeouts is it's not about the plants. People are totally over change. They need something to push back against and vent, and the plants are just as good as anything else, so let's have a go. But yeah, my other point is you're not going to have any easy wins. There's things that you can do easily, great, but just got to keep swinging, haven't you? So obstacles. When I wrote the abstract for coming along and talking to you all, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to knock this out of the room. We're going to have so much done. But I'm pretty busy, and I'm pretty sure all you guys are pretty busy, and the operational always eats into the strategic, and my directors are even busier than me. So getting things approved and in motion and happening, it's a bit of a frustration. But of course, we've got this IT admin review sitting over us, which is this massive handbrake. Let's go and do X, Y, and Z. Well, don't know what's going to happen. What are they going to say? What about these ITOs? Like, should we do this if we're not going to do that? And then we've got the change fatigue in staff. So this is all coming together of, like how are we going to do it? So to summarise, we have done these 3 solid data points: the Employee Engagement Program Survey, an Organisational Agility Assessment, Organisational Agility Maturity Assessment, and the Workplace Culture Survey. And we were sitting at that neutral zone, 64%-ish for engagement, which, But we asked the meta question: I'm enthusiastic about my job. And so with all of that change that we've been through, and all of that change that's in front of us, and all of that uncertainty, that actually has gone up, that score, which to me I think is a really tremendous effort, or a tremendous result. We're at stage 1, agility basics, so knocking on the door of having it less in pockets and more of the norm. And people are happy enough with the level of bureaucracy. Maybe a little bit of those aspects of commercialism could come in, but they really want that cohesiveness and innovation. My sense is that people are starting to see we're doing things. They're starting to think about moving that needle in a positive direction, but really are just going to wait and find out what's going to happen. And absolutely, that's a fair result. So I'm going to wrap up by saying it's not about the plants. Not about the plants at all. There's so much to do. We really want to do good things. It's all about the people. And this is from one of our first Inspire sessions, and I've even managed to sneak a picture of the Australian of the Year up there. He's on the screen, Alan McCasium. So yeah, it is about the people. Change is happening. People may be moved out of the organisation, but it's all about how can we manage that in a dignified way? How can we, how can those people who are still in the organisation, but their colleagues aren't, how are we going to deal with that? How can the business do what it needs to do whilst remembering that people are a pretty important part of what we do? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brett. There's a lot there for all of us. Any questions? Got one there.
Would you agree that cynicism is a huge part of this and how do you do it?
It's interesting. The average tenure of a group of staff members is about 15 or 16 years. So there's a real sense of we've been here before. We've done this. We've gone and done this, and now we're going to come back and do this. So Definitely. I would say there is a level of cynicism there. How are we going to deal with it? I guess by being authentic. And the organisational change manager's done some really tremendous things and helped us understand that, you know, the change needs to be managed and how we can do it better. Does that answer your question?
Another question over there.
Where does your role change manager sit in the structure?
She reports to Planning Engagement Manager, Director.
And has there been any interface with your people and culture or HR or whatever particular?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If I could extend on from there, if I may, Brett, it's a difficult thing to measure, but do you have a sense of resilience within the organisation? And is the change manager working on anything about resilience of people?
I'd have to say there is a sense of resilience in the fact that if that enthusiasm question was really tanking, then that would be a real worry. But it would seem that, and the fact that people are reporting that they're committed to the organisation and they still value the organisation's goals. So I think it comes down to change fatigue, a lot of this. But how do you manage that? You can't just stop it. In fact, it's getting more and more and more and more. So.
Absolutely. Got a question over here.
You mentioned that you've done staff surveys before. Those were different types.
Yeah, so like a staff satisfaction survey is pretty much just going to measure that. So for the most part, if you're paying people well and the office is nice, if it's got plants, you know, I could be really satisfied just coming in and doing the bog ordinary amount of work that I could possibly do. So engagement is that slightly different concept in that people actually, that discretionary effort. So that's why we made that first move to an engagement survey. And then the agility and the culture kind of flowed on from that. And having them stack on top of each other has been the real key for us. And like David mentioned in his presentation, the ability to put it down on the table and say, here you go, what do you think? Boom, okay, what's going on there? And that starts a conversation.
Other questions? Another one there.
I just wondered what the ITO is.
Oh, invitation to offer. Yep.
You say you've got 3 ITOs.
2 ITOs. So one's around digital workspace and how we deliver that, and one's around audiovisual.
So an ITO may, in fact, project that there might be a different delivery or different service model with working with more partners, perhaps.
Or it may not.
Or it may not.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. Who knows?
Yeah. So an unknown outcome.
It's a known unknown.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you just clarify what IMS stands for?
Oh, information services, sorry. So that's IT services and the library.
Right, and so have you considered a name change to help drive your direction? Or?
I would say not. Why do you say that?
I'm just wondering, because sometimes to bring about the change that you're wanting, you have to sort of live and breathe it.
Yeah.
You can do so through whatever you call yourselves to get that message across.
Yeah. So look, who knows? And I don't know what the admin review is going to say. So you know, I guess we don't know. And so I'll tell you when we do.
A change of identity could indicate a change of direction and
And it can create a positive as well.
Yeah.
People feel it's heard and they're being
well, look, from my perspective, I'm glad it's not about the plants, because I don't know if any of you have ever been to Griffith University, but they're some of the most beautiful bushland campuses that you'll ever come to. So I think if you can't look out a window and see a tree, then you're probably not looking out the right window. So
Just come to my office.
So I'd like to join me again in thanking Brett for his great talk.
Thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.
And now it's afternoon tea, which is back up where it's all the food if you want more food.